Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to Level Up with Lori, the podcast. You guys, I'm doing something a little bit different today. It's like I'm shaking it up all the time, right? Did you guys like how I actually did the podcast that I released earlier this week live? It was a lot of fun. I think that is something that I could definitely do more often than not. The funny part is I'm often in my pajamas. I'm often like a complete disaster behind the scenes when I'm recording these podcast episodes because I really like to record from a place of inspiration. Like when an idea hits, I like to grab my computer and record it right away rather than kind of scheduling it out when I'm not really sure if that inspirational piece will be there, but I'm still kind of thinking around how this works. And I'd love to hear your feedback if you like watching them live or if you like having them available as a Facebook live or if you'd like me to share those in my IGTV stories, I could do that too. I feel like with social media these days and all of these different platforms that we have, there's just so much opportunity to kind of create content and share. There's so many things that you can be doing both to create original content and then repurpose that content that like really the sky's the limit and we just need to follow our own energy and then figure out. I always like to ask myself, okay, like can I like expand this content? I like to say to my clients, it's like giving it wings, right? Like taking it like one use, yes, is amazing. You're sharing it with a group of people, but being able to use it in multiple places, like how I'm taking a lot of my content and then uploading it onto YouTube, um, or uploading it into IGTV or sharing it with a different circle, whatever, like all of a sudden it kind of makes that content all the more potent, right? It like gives it those wings to fly and soar and reach new people and like all the things. And there's just all these places that we can share. And then all of these ways in which we can remind people that that content is out there. So for those of you that are listening to this on the actual podcast, I am recording this one. I have my hair done. I'm actually dressed. So I'm recording this one as a video, much like I record the courses, like or the trainings that I do that I drop into my courses and all that good stuff. Because I was like, well, why not, right? Like if I can do that, that would make it even more appealing to share in multiple platforms, especially in the back of my brain, growing this YouTube channel, which incidentally, like I'm a total novice at YouTube. I did kind of a little bit of like a one-on-one session with a YouTube expert a couple weeks ago. So I have a little bit more insight and I've got some things that I want to work on behind the scenes when I have a little bit more time. But my kids are also like itching to start a YouTube channel, right? They watch all of these YouTubers. They have this like thing in their head that if they can just get themselves on YouTube, the money is going to start rolling in. And like the entrepreneur in me, like absolutely loves them. The mom in me who is taking them to 9 different activities over the course of the week and like prepping for all the things behind the scenes and just making sure that they're fed and alive is like, one more thing on my list, but I do think it's going to be a really fun project that we can do together. So stay tuned. We have already named the channel. It's going to be called the Urban Legends, kind of like urban legends, you get the play on the words there. It's gonna be fun. They're gonna be playing like video games. They're gonna be doing some Pokemon on there. I'm hoping we'll get a little bit more creative and then I might learn a little bit about creating videos and all those things. Like I think it's kind of funny because it's really parallel to my own business and some of the things that I'm doing in my business and some of the ways that I want to challenge myself. So I'm like, oh, why not do it with them too? Anyways, that is not the point of this podcast episode at all. But you know me, I love to go on tangents and I continually tell myself people always get what they need from these conversations. So whenever there's a tangent to go on, I kind of feel like somebody needs that message. So if you're out there and you are a mom of a young YouTuber, maybe you need to send me the support and the notes and all the things. I tried to even get like Minecraft this weekend. I couldn't even figure out how to play that on a computer. They have it on their Switches, but in order to be able to tape it, to put it on YouTube, they want to be doing it on a computer, yada, yada, yada. So that's where I'm at with that. Today I wanted to talk about so I'm actually recording this 2 days before it's going to be released. It's going to be released on Thursday, and today is Tuesday, and today is the very first day of my Manifest the Life of Your Dreams mini series. It's a totally free mini series. It's only going to be available for a couple weeks because, spoiler alert, I'm actually considering turning this into a paid offering inside of my coaching container. Um, for those of you that are considering build a coaching business, I have a really incredible course coming out soon that's called the coach. Um, but you get to play around with the way you deliver content and the way you create behind the scenes. So the method behind this madness is that I really wanted to do this with my circle because it's been so powerful for me that I didn't want to limit it to a paid offering, but I know that there's going to be so much value on the inside of this program that likely I will transition it into a paid program in the future. I might add a couple other elements. I've got some things kicking around in my brain, but I also know that in doing it live, because I haven't done the first training yet, in doing it live, I know that I will know what's supposed to happen with it. I just always trust in that process, that by showing up and doing, the rest of the path becomes clear. And there is a little bit of like a business message and a business tip in there, is that I think sometimes we get really, really caught up in having to know what the whole picture is, right? We're like, well, I'm not going to start until I know how it's going to end up. But the truth is, you never know how it's going to end up, but you do know how to start. You know how to take one single step. It was kind of like the breadcrumbs episode that I recorded a few weeks ago. If you haven't listened to that one yet, go back and listen to it, because it's all about following the breadcrumbs. It's all about taking one step, one step, one step. Like major leaps don't happen the way that we anticipate major leaps to happen, right? We think overnight success is truly overnight success. Overnight success is a million tiny steps moving you forward towards your destiny, almost, right? Towards your purpose, towards what you're here to do. And I would argue that the majority of entrepreneurs don't necessarily know where it's all going to lead, what they're going to do. And I think that's kind of the beauty and the exciting and the anxiety around it all, right? Is we don't always know. We're not always really meant to know either. And I think that's the piece that we need to wrap our brains around. And the piece that we need to get comfortable with is that maybe we're not meant to know. Maybe we're really just meant to do the thing that we feel called to do right now. And that actually is a really good transition into what I wanted to do on this episode, was talk about one of the missing pieces inside of the manifestation process that I had in the beginning and that I see a lot of other women missing as well. And I think it's because we kind of confuse, and honestly, my mini series is going to go much deeper into this, but if you don't take part in that, I really wanted to give you this as a takeaway on manifestation. But the piece that I really thought about, I thought it was that you decide what you want, you get really clear on what you want, you put that out into the universe, and you almost wait with open hands, right? Palms to the sky and ready to deliver. And then there was just so many times where I was like, okay, nothing's happening. I really want this, universe. Why aren't you delivering? And all of a sudden, I can't remember, I think it was in Amanda Francis's Money Makeover Mentality course, that I realized that I wasn't doing my part, that my part was actually the integral part in the whole manifestation process. The manifestation really isn't just like a menu that you take out and you pick what you want, but you have to do your part. You have to show up, you have to take action. And action was the piece of the manifestation process that I actually really wasn't I wasn't doing, quite simply. I thought it was about getting really clear. I thought it was about being in high vibe all the time, about being in that right kind of energy. But the truth is, you don't actually have to be in any kind of energy to manifest. You are manifesting the entire life that you're living right here and right now, with your thoughts, with your energy, with your actions, with your inactions, with your limiting beliefs. It's just, the truth is, we're not always manifesting the life that we desire to manifest, but we are manifesting the life that we're living. So when you decide to get more intentional, there's going to be a piece of that puzzle that's going to require you to take action. But what you want to do is take action from a place of inspiration. And the way that I look at that piece of inspiration is like that intuitive nudge. When you're laying in bed at night and you get this thought that drops into your, because you're all quiet, or you're in the shower in the morning and no technology is on around you, you've got these clear thoughts, and all of a sudden this little idea pops into your head. And before you can tell yourself that idea is crazy, you're just like, oh, that could be the thing. And the truth is, that is the thing. That is the universe kind of sending you this message, this little like nudge to be like, this is the thing that you need to do to move forward in order to manifest the thing that you deeply desire. Right? So it's almost like you need to show up in order for the universe to be able to deliver. I like the saying, you move, the universe moves with you. You wait or you stay still, and the universe waits and stays still, right? You need to set the pace. You need to show up and do your part. And you need to continue. It's almost like following the breadcrumbs, right? Taking one step forward so that you can start to see the whole path. A lot of us are like on, like, a lot of us, it's like, okay, let me give you a really good example of this. Or, you know what, one of the pieces, the bonus that I'm actually going to do inside of the manifestation challenge is the art of receiving. Because a lot of the times we actually are receiving the things that we're manifesting and the things that we desire, but we don't see them for what they are. Like it's almost like we look a gift horse in the mouth, right? We're just like, oh, well, I actually asked for it to come this way. But the universe isn't going to always deliver things in the way that you anticipate them to deliver, right? So you need to almost see what it is for what it is. So let's say like I'm really, really exhausted and I'm like overworked, or like, the way us moms often get, especially near holidays right now as we head into Halloween. We got to have the costumes. We got to have the treats prepared for school. We got to have the costume for school and the costume for actually going out. We got to plan a little bit of an activity or an event. Like we plan a night with our friends around the Halloween night. There are a lot of elements. I mean, like it's nothing close to Christmas, but the funny part is when you're planning Halloween, you're actually planning Christmas in the back of your head because you can't wait until November 1st because there's far too many pieces to fall into place. So we can get a little bit exhausted at times, right? And like, we're like, all I want is a break. All I want is a break. And like, then my mother-in-law calls me up and is like, hey, could the kids come for a sleepover on the weekend? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, in the back of my head, I'm like, I don't want to put her out. Like, I know how much she's been doing this week and she's really tired. And like, it's not the perfect like scenario because she doesn't have enough beds for the kids. And all of a sudden I start rationalizing out of allowing this thing that I could receive that was actually what I was desiring, right? I needed a night off. The universe just offered me a night off, and I'm looking a gift horse in the mouth and saying, you know what? This isn't the way that I asked for it. And I don't have the ability to receive because I feel guilty and I lace it in all of these things. And so, anyways, I think taking action also is about the art of receiving. And I think we get caught up in it a lot, but action can also look like, let's say, I'm trying to think of a really good example right now. I've got a good example. I ran my Engage Your VIP group challenge over in my Level Up community a couple weeks ago. It just actually wrapped up about a week ago. And I actually delivered it via email this time. It was actually, which came from an intuitive nudge because I knew that it was time to run it again, but I wasn't in a place where I wanted to recreate all of the content that I had already created because I felt like the content I had created the last time is really, really potent, really powerful, and really laid out the challenge really well and delivered the content really, really well. And I was like, well, why would you recreate that when recreating that takes so much energy? Anyways, the emails went over fairly well, but what I realized was that there was a community, a connection aspect of it that just, it didn't happen over email. And so at the end of the emails, as I was laying there, I honestly woke up one Sunday morning and I was like, it just didn't feel the way that I wanted it to feel. This is how I wanted it to feel. And I thought, oh, what if I did this? And what I did was I took those videos and I replayed them inside my community. I attached a pretty hefty giveaway to it. And I attached a piece of homework from every single day of the video. All of a sudden, the women were being held accountable to doing those videos because those videos were going to disappear. All of a sudden, they had a place where they could connect with other women, where they could collaborate on what they were learning and what they were taking in. And also, they had that little bit of a push or a nudge because of the incredible giveaway that was attached to it. So this huge launch that I had been preparing for that really had like kind of fallen flat with the first way that I did it. I allowed I allowed space and time to like tell me like, these are my goals, like give me some ideas around this. And then I acted on that intuitive nudge. And that ended up in the results for the launch being much bigger. But if I only followed the strategy, if I told myself it was all about the strategy and I didn't allow myself to be open to other ideas to get where I wanted to go, but not being so kind of like so grippy to the way that I wanted it to happen, it wouldn't have happened. So that's kind of an example of like manifesting your desires, but being willing to do your part in taking action towards those desires. Did it create more work for me to do? Absolutely. Did I need to like kind of revamp some of the things that I had already created and create like a new narrative around it? Absolutely. But I also learned a lot. And likely the next time that I run it, if and when I run it again, I will do kind of a combination of what I learned in both of those kind of those launches. I will put them together in some ways. So it's just interesting. And I think a lot of the time, like we just kind of sit back on our haunches and we tell ourselves that manifestation doesn't work or it doesn't work for us. And we think it's all about visualization and all this stuff. But like we gotta get into motion, you guys. We gotta be willing to show up and do our part. We need to be willing to just take action. And we need to listen for the action to come to us. When we are in constant motion, when we are in constant hustle and overwhelm and like firing on all cylinders, we do not leave room for those intuitive nudges, or at least I know that I never left room for those because there just wasn't space in my day, in my life. It's why the only ideas that would ever pop into my head were before I went to bed, keeping me awake, getting me exhausted, or when I was in the shower without devices and without like stimulation and all that stuff. So I hope that you really enjoyed this podcast episode. I hope that like by listening to this episode, you're going to find your way into my Manifest mini series. It is, you can get signed up for it at levelupwithlori.com/manifest, or you can come over and follow me on Instagram, Ms. Lori Irvin. The link is in my bio, or what else? Or you can friend me on Facebook. The link will be pinned to the top of my personal profile, or come hang out in the Level Up community, which is predominantly for women in network marketing, but there's lots of other entrepreneurs in there as well. And you'll find out lots more information about the challenge there. Again, it's only available for a limited amount of time. However, if you are listening to this episode and it's 6 months down the road or 2 years down the road and you're like, Lori, this still sounds incredible, it will be, and you should be able to find a link to get in on this action on my website, loriirvin.com, or send me a message and I will direct you to all the places. Because again, as we stand right now, I'm just trusting that it will become clear when I'm supposed to do this massive mini series that I've been planning for weeks, and I'm so excited about. So anyways, you guys, I hope you're having an incredible week. I hope that all of your manifestations are coming true over there. But if you are anything like me and missing that action piece, maybe start to get really clear on what it is you want and ask yourself what your piece of the puzzle is in there. There's one more step inside of there, because I'm literally in the Manifest Challenge. I'm walking everybody through my 3 steps towards manifestation. And the second step in there is kind of getting rid of the blocks. And these will be physical blocks and mental blocks, and really just creating a clear path to what you desire. And so if you want to go deeper on that, levelupwithlori.com/manifest, or send me a message and I will hook you up. So thank you as always for tuning into this episode. If you are binging your way through, I will see you in the next one. And if not, I will see you next week. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, guys.